Do you have a waiter's serve? You've probably heard this term, or maybe you've heard this term and you haven't been able to fix this very common problem and technical flaw on your serve. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm with Fundamental Tennis, and this video is a follow-up video and bonus video to last week's video I did, in which I talked progressions on how to learn the continental grip on the serve. Now, what is a waiter's serve? Because I would say at least 80 or 90% of you watching this right now have a waiter's serve. And what a waiter's serve is, certainly this is something you want to avoid. A waiter's serve is when the strings of the racket are pointing up to the ceiling, or your palm of your hitting hand is pointing up to the ceiling. Now, what this does, and this typically happens before you swing up to contact and after your backswing. When you have a waiter's serve, I'll show you quickly how it should look. See how my strings are pointing down, the hitting side of my strings, versus this. When you have a waiter's serve like this, you will not be able to get into the power position with your upper body, specifically your hitting arm, as your hitting arm will bend too early, your hitting elbow will be too low, so you won't be able to get in the correct angles here with the arm and the correct alignment. You will also have the wrong swing path and really just the wrong technique overall. You can't have the ideal serving mechanics if you have a waiter's serve. Now, the waiter's serve also makes you, often players will have a weak racket drop. So you see how my racket doesn't go down my back? It's a shallow racket drop. So we want the racket to at least go lower than our waist, the tip of the racket that is. So you won't be able to maximize the length of the swing to accelerate the racket when you have a waiter's serve. So in summary, when you have a waiter's serve, you can't do the correct technique, therefore you cannot maximize power and control, especially power. So does that make sense? Again, strings pointing to the ceiling, this visual here we want to avoid. We want the strings to be somewhat to the ground, or our palm of our hand that's on the racket to the ground. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you several corrective techniques I use to get my players to get out of this very common habit. Okay, this is one of the worst things you can do on your serve, the waiter's serve that is. So I really want you to fix this here, and it's almost a guarantee that one of these drills I have for you are going to get you out of that habit and allow you to maximize your potential for power. I think it's very important to establish why players do the waiter's serve. Now, assuming your grip is continental, again, if you don't know the serve grip, or maybe you're not sure if you're doing it, check out my video from last week. The reason players do the waiter's serve is obviously you have to hit the ball on the strings of your racket, so it feels very safe for players to have their strings pointing to the ball well before contact. Now, what you want to do instead is, after your backswing and before you bring the racket, down your back and up to contact, we want the strings, the hitting side of the strings, to face the ground. So it's a bit like if you were saluting someone, you have your palm down when you salute, or if you hold your racket and you salute with the frame to your head, this is the position we want to get into. We just bring the racket away from our head. This is basically the opposite of a waiter's serve. So instead of the hitting side of the strings pointing up to the ceiling, they're pointing down to the ground. You could also think of it as the palm of your racket hand is facing the ground, or the knuckles of your racket hand are pointing to the ceiling. Those are several visuals that you can use to know if you are doing the technique correctly and not doing the waiter's serve. So we've got this salute position. We've got palm down. You could think knuckles to the ceiling. You could think hitting side of the strings to the ground, which is completely the opposite of what we don't want to do, which again is the waiter's serve. So let's get into the corrective techniques on how to fix this. I almost forgot. When you swing up to the ball, again, this is very counterintuitive, or it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel like it's going to work, because you should swing up to the ball with the edge of the racket, so the frame here, okay? For reasons I've mentioned earlier, maximize power, create the right swing path, the right mechanics to get that ball to do what you want it to do. So we want the frame to point to the ball. So say the ball's here, to the ball as long as possible until about 12 inches before contact. The strings, you'll see the racket go like this. And then of course the strings will face the target at contact. Okay, if you want to have a good visual of that, just type in a slow motion video of any top pro player, any pro player. You'll see they all do exactly the same thing. By the way, as I say in many of my videos, I definitely recommend you do a video of yourself before and after the fix so you can see if you're doing the waiter serve and if you have fixed it. So let's get into the corrective techniques on how to get out of this habit and make it a good habit in keeping our palm down and leading with the edge or the frame of the racket in the upward swing. This first drill, it's going to be 3 progressions, and this is the one I usually have success with the most of all these several drills, corrective techniques that I'll show you in this video. So I'll give this one a try first. You're going to do the same service motion that you've always done. However, you're going to purposely try to hit the ball in the frame of your racket instead of the strings. By trying to hit the ball in the frame, you will naturally get the right technique in leading with the frame, leading with the edge, because you're of course going to hit the ball on the frame, or at least try to do it. It's not easy to do, and it doesn't matter if you do hit it on the frame or not, just a matter of trying to hit it on the frame. And you're not trying to get the ball in the service box, of course, as that would be really hard to do. But just trying to hit the ball on the frame of the racket is going to force you to keep your palm down, lead with the edge, and prevent you from doing the waiter serve. So take a look at this. I'm going to hit the ball on the frame of my racket on purpose. That's a good one there. I hit it in the center, in the sweet spot of the frame. Now, after you do a few of those, the next progression of this drill would simply be hit one in the frame, and then alternate. The next one, pretend you're going to hit the ball in the frame, but hit it on the strings of your racket instead. So lead with the frame as long as possible, just like we did when we hit the ball on the frame, and then again go back to hitting the ball on the frame. Tried to hit on the frame there, got the strings somehow. And then you go back to hitting on the strings again. Now after that, you just simply hit every ball on your strings. Take a video of yourself, see if you're leading with the edge. Obviously, try to do a slow-mo video, and that about does it for the first drill. Hit the ball on the frame of your racket on purpose, and it'll guarantee you the right technique, because you can't do the waiter serve if you're going to hit the ball on the frame. In this corrective technique, you're going to get into your serve stance and ready position, and you're going to watch the top edge of your frame as long as you can. What this does is it prevents you from doing the waiter serve, because if you do the waiter serve, you won't be able to watch that top edge of the frame. So I'll show you in slow-mo. Just watch my eyes. I'm watching the frame here. So I watch the frame as long as I can. This will also shorten the backswings. A lot of you, large backswings makes it more likely to do the waiter serve. So I watch the frame of the racket as long as I can to prevent the waiter serve. So I'm going to hit a couple here. I watch the frame, and boom. Watch the frame as long as I can, the top frame that is, and boom. That will keep your palm down, get you to not flip that racket back like this. Here is yet another corrective technique I use to fix the waiter serve. You're going to hold your grip in your continental grip still, of course, but you're holding it with just your index finger and your thumb. Throughout the entirety of the serve, you hold it with just these 2 fingers. Now, what this does is it makes it really difficult to open the palm to the ceiling. It keeps that palm down. It's very awkward to do the waiter serve when you're holding the racket with just 2 fingers. I recommend swinging very slowly from close to the net, because I don't want you to lose your racket, seeing how you're only holding it with 2 fingers. Don't want you to break your racket because of me. So watch me hit a couple with just 2 fingers. This really makes me feel to do the technique correct and keep my palm down. So one more time. Again, just 2 fingers. You could also hold it at the top of the grip. Might be easier that way, or you could try both. So I'll hold it at the top this time. 2 fingers the whole time. Slow swing. and that'll keep my palm down, very likely keep my palm down in the backswing. In this corrective drill, we are going to minimize the backswing on your serve. So it's very common that players have very large, complicated backswings, and when you have a large backswing, it makes it more likely that you will open the palm of your hand to do a waiter serve. So to create a new muscle memory and to help lessen the chance that you'll do a waiter serve, we're going to change your backswing and make it quite a bit smaller, which can change your rhythm, but you can adjust the height of your toss and other things to accommodate for that change of rhythm. So a large backswing, I'd say, is when the tip of the racket goes lower than your knees in this part here, or if the racket head goes behind the hand, as you can see here, as opposed to the racket head going next to the hand or even in front of the hand. Okay? So if you have a large backswing, this drill could really benefit you to help you simplify your motion and, of course, get rid of the waiter serve. So I'm sitting on my heels here, and I've got the ground as in the way, so if I do a large backswing, I'm going to hit the ground. So I go here, keep my racket above the ground, and hit. Keep my racket off the ground, and hit. So if the ground wasn't there, I wouldn't hit the ground, obviously. So the ground gives you kinesthetic feedback on if you do too big of a backswing. You could also go on one knee if that's more comfortable for you, and just keep the racket above the ground so that you keep this all-important palm down position here. In this last corrective drill, we're going to use another barrier. We're going to use a curtain. You can use a wall or a fence as well. I'd like you to stand about 2 feet or so from the curtain. Now, if you do a waiter serve, aka your palm opens up to the ceiling, then your racket will surely hit the curtain. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like to do it wrong. As you'll see, my racket will hit the curtain. So this is a great drill to know if you're doing the technique right and to help you fix it if it's not correct. So watch this here. I'm going to hit the curtain. So I did the waiter serve. Now, this time I'm going to keep my palm down, and you'll see I will not hit the curtain. So watch my racket here. As you can see, I didn't hit the curtain because I kept my palm down. I didn't do the waiter serve. So again, this will give you feedback on if you did the waiter serve or not. Take a look at how my palm is down here, and then right now I lead with the edge. So watch right before contact, I'm leading with the edge. The frame is pointing to the ball as if I'm going to hit the ball with the frame of my racket. And the last moment, I pronate my forearm and point the strings to the target at contact. Now watch one more time. Lead with the frame of the racket as long as I can. Try to pause the video several times right about here and here, and you'll see it. So no longer will you suffer from a lack of power and muscling the ball and trying so hard but getting so little out of your serve. You're going to get effortless power just by simply having efficient and effective technique. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you tune in for next week's video, and please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I enjoyed making this video for you as always, and I hope to hear from you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that these drills really help you with your serve.